Willkommen beim Radio-Kaktus Münster. Ich bin Conrad Vorlauf und heute sitzt neben uns Sher Afghan Malik. Er kommt aus Pakistan und nimmt hier an einer internationalen Debattenkonferenz teil. Dazu wird er uns natürlich jetzt viel mehr sagen, aber erstmal wollen wir, dass er sich vorstellen kann. Hi Sher, how are you?
Hi Conrad, I'm fine. It's a great morning. Thank you for inviting me to your show. How are you?
Oh, I'm great too. I'm so glad after 3 years, I think, that we meet again and visit us here in Münster. And so, tell me what you're up to this time.
Well, as you know, and this is for your audience as well, since 2006, the Münster University had an international conference. It's called the Münster University International Model United Nations. And in between, it became an independent project which finances itself, which is good. So basically in this conference, what happens is that, for example, if Conrad is from Germany, you want to have a debate on, let's say, gender violence or in the international arms trade, you will not represent Germany in the debate. You will get maybe Saudi Arabia or Russia or China or maybe the USA. The perspective will be much different. And you have to act like the ambassador of that country. So you get to learn more perspectives and do more research about, international policy and how different people and different governments think about the same issue.
Yeah. So, was that hard for you in the first place? So to really get to this other role?
Yes.
Get in the other perspective?
Yes. So I started a long time ago. So I started debating in 2006. And my first international trip outside of Pakistan, my first trip was to China, and then the second one was to Germany.
Yeah.
So initially, what I had to kind of adjust to is the difference in style. So in Europe, it's more about understanding and research and trying to come together during debating conferences, and there's more depth to the debate. In Pakistan, it's a little more aggressive. Well, not a little more aggressive. It's a lot more aggressive.
So what do you mean by that?
Being aggressive, it's about being more popular in the debating group because you're debating with 25 to 30 other people. And at the end of the day, you need their votes to pass a resolution. So over here, it's different. There's more depth. And there is more understanding, I would say.
But does that style also help you here communicating in the world? So, how it's done to get a popular opinion in a group and to defend it or settle it?
Well, that depends. So, because there are different styles of debating. There's declamation where you just give a speech. I've done a little bit of that. There are parliamentary debates in which you're debating as a team. So, for example, if the statement is, this house believes that all citizens should own firearms, for example, then if you are proposition, you have to support that argument no matter what your personal belief is and in the form of a team. And if you are on the opposition and you can't decide yourself as a coin toss, then you have to be against it no matter what you believe. And then you have model UNs. I think this style of debating, especially in Europe, it requires a lot more empathy. And I think it developed my empathetic skills. And if I see more than what I was learning in the classroom, I think this helped me understand the world more. And again, make friends and try to understand their perspectives as well. So, yeah. And it was a great learning experience because, when you're on the other side of the world, there are certain things you're taught, there are certain things you're told about the other. And
the grass is greener. What do you mean?
Economically speaking, yes, you have this impression that the grass is greener. But also there is this otherization, So you're told that people in the West, for example, are very selfish and rude and materialistic. And I did not experience that. And there is this phenomena in psychology. It's called cognitive dissonance. So basically, when what you have been taught or what you believe encounters a reality which is much different than what you believe, then either you will try to escape from the reality, ignore it, or you will have to change what is going on inside you and unlearn what you have learned. So yes, I think then the first time I came, I experienced everyone was really nice, very welcoming, very friendly, and overall across the years. And see, Germans find this really surprising. apart from the Pakistanis, it's like other Germans are like, yeah, be careful, Germans are a bit rude and, but I've never experienced that. Even with random strangers, if I'm lost asking for, like today, okay, I'll give you an example of today. So when I left the house, I had Google Maps on and went and sat at the bus station. And I was sitting there, and I think 2-3 minutes later, this guy came. He could not speak a word of English, but he tried to explain to me that the bus is not going to stop at this stop. He pointed me in another direction. So I was fiddling around with my phone, trying to find out where I have to go. And then there was this young kid, I think he would be in high school. He explained to me that I had not asked these two people.
Yeah.
And they were there, they saw that I needed help. And that's how I reached the radio station. And I have like so many of these stories, There was this one year I also tried to experiment with, changing my look.
Mm-hmm.
You remember in 2019 I had this big beard and long hair. So that was a social experiment from my side that, okay, maybe if I change my look and become a little less,
dressed up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit different, change my look and let's see how if the stereotypes are true. But no, still the same way. I think I experienced nothing but kindness,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and that's what changed me. That's what opened me up. And and also so many friends from over the years. So a conference is a big part of me coming to Münster.
First 3 times were financed, but you had the fire to go further.
The first couple of times were financed by the Heinrich Böll Foundation. So I'm really thankful, really, to the German people and to the German taxpayer for that. And on 2 occasions, it was once the Finnish embassy in Pakistan and the Dutch embassy in Pakistan. Mm-hmm. One time it was our home university. So 6 times were funded during my studies. Mm. And after that, I decided in 2014 not to come. And because I thought, okay, this is too expensive and I have outgrown this. And, we should look on to, other aspects of life. And I've done this for too long. You will not believe this, and I've sent you the photographs. I was in Lahore, and I was actually, I've hosted Germans and German students in Lahore, or I would say Europeans, some from Austria and Netherlands as well. They were there for internships with different organizations. So I was sitting with these guys, and then I started getting tagged on Facebook pictures. So what my friends in Münster and at the conference had done is, they had taken a full-size paper printout of my picture and put it on a cardboard and took it to all the debate sessions and all the parties and took pictures with my picture and started tagging me. And I don't know what special is, but if I had any doubts about, is it worth it? Are my friendships real? If I have an overly positive or negative view by Germany, it doesn't matter. After that really sweet incident. And I have nothing but stories like this.
It's so funny. And it's so nice that you find so many good people wherever you go. I think it's because of your positive mindset that you find these people. So Sher, tell us something about what your profession is in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have multiple degrees. I have a degree in sociology, a bachelor's in sociology, a master's in public administration with a specialization in HR, and I have a law degree. Mm-hmm. And I've worked in 2 startups. They failed. I've also practiced law for a bit. But what I've been doing consistently part-time, for less time or more time, ever since I went to Münster and other conferences like the one that's happening at Münster University. Harvard was, for example, one of them. The other one was the MUIMUN conference that's in Maastricht every year. So that allowed me to kind of like teach at other educational institutions because they approached me to teach those skills because now I have this international experience. So what I'm doing right now is, I used to work in the courts, but right now I'm doing research work and drafting for other law firms. And on the side, what I'm doing is that I'm a part-time debates coach at teaching public speaking and critical thinking skills at 1 private university and 2 private schools. And which really, that I like doing maybe even more than my law practice because I get to teach these kids earlier in their, academic journey, a way to think critically, to develop their empathy, with regards to other cultures and to see things from a different point of view. Through this type of debating, they can see things from maybe a European point of view or an Australian point of view, a Canadian point of view. This really impacted me. I mean, before traveling and before this kind of debate, it was I was a different person. If I had not traveled and if I had not encountered, all these conferences in which I had to practice this empathy, this exercise.
What about Münster and Lahore? That may be some very different places, right?
Very different. Münster is, I think, 350,000 people, yes? Lahore is 11 million. And 11 million, which is according to, the official government statistics, which might not be so accurate because, I think there's more. This city has a huge footprint, so it's spread out. The weather is extremely different. So these days in our part of the world, we have temperatures between 46 degrees and 50 degrees in my city.
And I heard you're competing with one of the other biggest city in the world by pollution.
Yeah, so in the winters we have smog. So smog is a combination of fog and the pollution in the air. It's like a competition on the world most polluted air quality index in the winter months. Who has the more polluted air? And this is actually the first thing for the last couple of years that it's like the air is so clean. It's like your lungs are out of this cage, and the first couple of hours is like, oh, this is what it is like to breathe. Yeah. So that's a big difference. The other difference is basically, I think we started only having footpaths on the main roads, all of them, in the last 3 or 4 years. Before that, there were no footpaths. Forget bicycle paths. The city is made for cars.
Okay. The
old part of Lahore is a bit more for walking, but then that's really congested because everyone tries to get everywhere through a car, and the streets are too narrow. People say that food in Lahore is really good. Compared to German food, it's more spicy. And we use a lot more meat. So whenever I have guests from Germany who are vegan or vegetarian, it's a bit of a problem because when I go to the waiters, even at the better, nicer restaurants, and you tell them, oh yeah, do you have something vegetarian? And they're really, honestly, standard replies, oh, you mean chicken?
So do you have plans for the future yourself?
Yeah, I want to get an international degree. So it provides me the opportunity to apply for international jobs or maybe the UN or other countries. So for that purpose, I have been saving up, but the exchange rate has, really collapsed in the last couple of months. So hopefully, whether it's Germany or Canada or some other Western country, I intend to get a international degree so I have more mobility.
You want to tell the audience anything that's interesting to know or important to know about you? You can tell your message now.
I think there's a lot of, with regards to Germany and Germans in general, I think there's a lot of skepticism, a lot of self-doubt, which is also part of the beauty of the place and the conversations I have here. And that is also something that I miss the most when I go back home. Even, I guess, more than the weather, more than, the clean air, the infrastructure, all of those things is the conversations. So the conversations are generally deep and they're more, intellectually stimulating. In our part of the world, I think even the intellectuals are a bit intellectually lazy. There is a lot of national pride in Pakistanis in general without really having much to be done to be proud of,
Yeah. We gone the opposite way.
Yeah.
We did stuff to not be proud of, so now we are self-critical.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the right way to...
Yeah, I think every nation has that, but I think the good thing with Germans is that it's considered patriotic to be very self-critical and critical of German history, which is good. But I think there are also things to be proud of, like this self-critical behavior you won't find in most countries, especially not in mine. So it's like, I think that is something to be proud of, to having this self-critical, empathetic, behavior,
So nice to have you here.
Thanks.
There was really a good insight.
Thanks.
We met before, and there you told me that you can't leave the country of Pakistan by the Pakistani government if you don't have sufficient funds, that you leave them as a bait. Is that right?
Oh, okay. So how it is that the Pakistani passport is either the second or the third most immobile passport in the world. The passport with which you can least have the ability to travel.
Okay.
So in the top 3 is Germany, Japan, and I think it's Singapore. I think number 2 is UK, and number 3 is US, and so on and so forth. The only 2 countries which are kind of like worse in mobility, I think, are Yemen and Afghanistan. Even Syria is above us in passport mobility. Then if you have a Pakistani passport, you need a visa to go everywhere. And with that, there are requirements, and there are international requirements that you need sufficient funds to show that you can take care of yourself. That is a requirement. And what I was talking to you about was with regards to education. So even if you want to go and study, you need to show really substantial funds. So for example, even if you get an admission here in Germany, you have zero cost. You need about 10,000 euros to show to basically get a visa, because the embassy wants to make sure that you have enough funds to sustain yourself, which is they give you monthly from that money 700 euros, which is not such a bad policy. I think they're looking out for the security of the person who's going to another country. I think the bigger problem is that the government of Pakistan is unable to keep the stable currency exchange rate. And I think that creates barriers for traveling, no? Because if you have a currency which is losing worth, less and less people would want to travel because it is going to cost more. That is a barrier.
Yeah, so thanks for answering all our questions, for being our guest. We're really grateful to have you here and to have like your testimony, because I talked so much with you in the last years, and I'm happy that we can share with other people and have this inner stories that like moved my vision, also like your vision was moved by coming here. So now to wrap it up, thank you all for listening to Sher and me. Danke fürs Zuschauen an alle da draußen. Heute beim Radio-Kaktus war Sher Afghan Malik. Er hat uns ein bisschen erzählt, ne, von wie läuft das, was macht er hier in Münster und wie ist die Aussicht auf die Welt von hier und von ihm, wo er hergekommen ist und von allen Punkten dazwischen. Und ich wünsche euch eine wunderschöne Zeit, wo auch immer ihr seid, was auch immer ihr macht. Bleibt empathisch und offen zu allem, was ihr seht. Habt einen schönen Tag.